a movie filmed in 1989 about people in 1985 who traveled to 2015 and then 1955 to save life in 1985, but eventually end up in 1885.
Yes.
That's Back to the Future too. It somehow makes sense.
Yes, because it's quite an elevator pitch. Yeah.
There's more to it. We promise.
I really enjoyed rewatching this. I hadn't seen it for a couple years. Seen it a bunch of times. It was on the HBO TNT Vortex for 15 years. And I think because it gets lumped with Back to the Future 3, they filmed it together. They didn't do quite as well as the first one.
Yeah.
I actually think it's underrated now, Sal. I know why it's not underrated for you, but do you think it's underrated, Chris?
It was much better than I remembered it. I really enjoy the Back to the Future movies in general, but I hadn't seen 2 in a while. I feel like I'd seen 3, the Western one, a little bit more recently. But this is pretty delightful. And all the 2015 stuff is uncanny at this point.
Yeah, 2015, now 9 years ago.
Yeah.
That was a tumultuous year for a lot of reasons. The Cubs did not win the World Series that year, though, Sal. But they almost did.
Almost 1 year off, I think. But yeah, and in 2015, October 21st, we were in Brooklyn, Jimmy Kimmel Live, and we did a bit with Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox commemorating this on that day. And they got together, and I got to run lines with them. And for obvious reasons, this is one of my favorite movies of all time.
That's like a borderline top 12 career highlight.
Crazy.
That's fucking crazy.
Oh my God.
Really amazing crap. And then just like the time machine and that, I don't know what I'm waiting for. Let me just pull this out. I got it, guys.
You brought props?
I got it.
Yeah.
I got Grace.
Wow.
I got this. I think 4 people gave this to me on one of my birthdays, and it's
so it's
not
like a reprint.
Yeah, but it's got like cricket scores and crap. I got giddy for a second, Chris, but nothing we could capitalize off of. So
holy
that's
shit.
It. No, I know.
When did you get that for your birthday?
Probably like 10 years ago. I think I got more, but I try to give them to you guys.
We'll put that here for now.
Yeah,
so
take that, show that.
Kind of be in there.
Yeah, but I gotta say, this is one of my favorite movies. It gives me more anxiety than Blood Diamond, which is an inside reference. But I'll say I kind of hate
Blood
you.
Diamond makes you anxious?
Well, it's some Cowboys PTSD.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Rewatchables is great. The movie's great, but I hate you guys for making me break this down and get through all the nitpicky moments of
There's a lot.
Because I'm coming from it from a different angle, and it's like because there's 107 categories with what's the Rudy Tomjanovich knockout scene that shouldn't have happened.
That's a good one. We should keep that.
I like Rudy Tomjanovich knockout.
Yeah. So anyway, I love it.
CR, did this movie create the multiverse?
Did
anyone do it before?
Like, I think that obviously a lot of sci-fi writers have been working with like the idea of like butterfly effects and timelines and stuff like that. But I think even like Carl Sagan was like, this movie does the best job of explaining the perils of time travel, at least philosophically and ethically.
High praise from Carl Sagan.
Yeah,
one of the most dynamic guys who ever lived.
A tough date. He's not just throwing praise around easily like that, you know?
I think Tarantino once listed the perfect movies. He said there were like 4 perfect movies, and he said Back to the Future 1 was one of them, one of the perfect movies. And so maybe this is a little less perfect, but
well, there's a lot of reasons for that. Right. But one of the reasons you're here, other than you love the Back to the Future franchise, is the almanac. Mm-hmm. Which I don't know. Did this plant the seeds for you to be a degenerate gambler? Was this it? Because what are you like? How old are you when you see this movie?
I was like 14. Yeah. I was already in there.
You had already started to think about, and then all of a sudden there's this magic potion basically to just win every bet.
Yeah. 18 when this came out. 14, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how Marty flying over to the future isn't thinking about this before he even lays eyes on the Gray Sports Almanacs. Like, this is like when I'm flying to Arizona and I could play FanDuel, I'm 6 parlays in before I hit the tarmac, you know? So I don't know. I guess we're just wired differently. But
so this is what I wanted to ask you guys.
Yeah.
This is the major philosophical question here.
Yeah.
In this movie, the MacGuffin, the totem of the movie is this sports almanac that Sal helpfully brought. You guys are 2 of the biggest gamblers I know.
Yeah.
Is there any part of this that's like knowing the results takes away some of the fun? Like, would it take away the juice to just win every bet because you knew the results? Isn't the whole point to kind of trust your intuition, your like reams of research and thinking about all the different permutations? You want the answer. You want to cheat the test.
Well, I know Sal's answer because in round 1, he stumbled on bet both teams minus 9.5, and he was winning like 80% of them. And I think he just would do it for the rest of his life.
Yeah,
you just want to win bets.
I've seen enough games and permutations of games that I'm good with this. But what's your answer for real?
Well, my short answer is not all the results are in the book. So you could still gamble on some other stuff. You could just build the nest egg with the ones you know are right to bet on the stuff that you don't know. So you could still get your Jones on that. I was going to do this later and probably in Answerables, but we can do it now. How many games would you have to throw to keep people off the scent? What's the exact percentage you would want to? Would you want to be like 75%? What before people get suspicious or think you're like a fucking person from the future, or literally, or you're practicing voodoo or something. What's
that's
a normal number?
70%? Right. So first of all, I don't know that I would benefit from this book.
Okay.
Like as a freshman in college, I had the answers to an American history exam. It was 200 true, false, and I got a C-. So I don't know. And also like Bill says, you have to be careful, otherwise the casinos will shut you down. Like if you have this, who do you tell? Do you tell the two of us? I would probably tell my idiot friend Harry, and they're like, Caesars
right. And
would
then
have
Harry
I couldn't get in
drinks,
the door.
Then he tells somebody.
I couldn't bet anyone. And then, Chris, to your point, then it's the worst. Then you don't want it at all because now you know the results of all the games, and you can't.
It takes away. Wouldn't it ruin sports?
Right. You just get into like movies from the 1950s.
It's Pacers Knicks game 3, and you're like, who cares? I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think you have to handle it really carefully, put a lot of thought. So he wins all the money in the races in 1958. And then from that point on, I think he's just picking his spots and trying to go like 17 for 20 every 20 bets, but big bets. Like I'm going to bet the Dodgers to win the World Series in, 1966, whatever it is. And did they win in 1966? That analogy might not have worked. Or I'll bet the Cardinals in 1967. They beat the Red Sox. Right. I know the result of that year. And you win that, and it's like, oh, wow, he did it again. He really likes Bob Gibson.
Right.
He really
and we're giving him
progressive.
He knew McCarver would really settle the pitching staff down.
Yeah. And the movie gives him a lot of credit for being able to thread this needle that we're talking about how we might not be able to. First of all, he strikes it big when he's 21. So he has his mitts on this thing for 3 years.
Yes.
This guy doesn't follow any rule in society, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to be cool. I'm not going to bet before I'm 21. And he does it and he pulls it off. And that's where he becomes a millionaire at the horse races and stuff.
Well, and then how did he bet? So the horse racing's probably the easiest, but we'd had to do like some 20 to 30 to 1 parlay.
Yeah. Triple
type thing.
Did they have those back
Save
in the 50s?
$1,000.
Not a lot. I guess.
For big races, they did.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was interesting that it's the horse race he wins in the first. I have a lot of the gambling questions coming up, but like the way that he does it, you're right. He would have to kind of throw a couple.
Yeah.
Or only bet like once a year. I'm coming in and I'm betting the Super Bowl and I'm betting the World Series and I'm betting the Kentucky Derby to just make it be like, this guy's just touched. He really knows what he's doing. Who knows?
Not that many places to make those bets though.
Right.
Vegas is very early Vegas. Where else? Does Atlantic City even have?
No, you're
sports
right.
gaming like that.
That's the thing is he's working with.
So he's got to do the mafia, and the mafia just kills him after a while. The mafia is like, this guy's won 10 straight bets. We owe him $5 million. Kill him tonight.
I think so. Yeah, Binion's. He's in with Benny Binion, and that's it. Like I don't know how else he does it. But on the other hand, the intel isn't as good as like a FanDuel has it now, where they can be like, hey, keep an eye on this guy.
Right.
There's first, so maybe he could.
Like what they did to Raheem.
That's it.
They just sniffed out Raheem and then a couple football
Raheem's
bets.
in Back to the Future 4.
You tripped the Jonte Porter flag.
Yeah. Raheem. There's just people following him. Yeah, he dies probably by 1964.
Right.
He probably bets on Cassius Clay to beat Sonny Liston, wins that one, and the mafia's like, take this dude out.
Yeah,
I never want to see this dude again. Put a bullet in his head.
Yeah.
Might have bet on the election with JFK. Is that in the book? Maybe not, actually.
No, it's a sports almanac. That's the thing. It's like there would be so much you'd want to know outside of like the Cubs winning.
Well, the other unanswerable with this, we're jumping ahead because this is a good category, the nitpicks. But like, how did this is 50 years of stuff fitting in this magazine, basically.
Yeah.
Because even when you see the magazine, so you have, like it says, like football scores. I just don't feel like you'll have all the week-to-week stuff.
No
so
way.
Maybe that would be to answer your question from earlier. How would he have fun betting on this stuff? There's probably weeks from football and basketball as he's going along where he doesn't know what happened.
Yeah.
College basketball, baseball, maybe hockey wasn't even in there.
Right. And they had him, I think the original thought was they make it like 500 pages or at least thicker, right? So it looks plausible, but it has to fit in and out of everybody's jacket, and on the windshield.
Biff's got to be as careless as possible with it at all times to drive it. So I asked you guys from things in this is actually the rare case where I sent the question ahead of time.
I appreciated that.
You're welcome. Top 5 things from a movie you'd love to steal in real life and what the rankings are. And is this one of the 5? So I had 4, but what did you have? What did you have for like your top 3?
I had the Holy Grail from Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Well. I got that.
Eternal Life. Now you are
Eternal
limited.
Life.
You got to stay within the boundaries of the Alexandria or Alexandretta, where you're like can't go past the seal. But I am under the impression that Sean Connery, they pour it on the wound and he comes back to life and everything. So you just wait till you're really in need of that HGH shot.
Would you pour that on Embiid or would you do it on yourself if you had to pick?
I think I'd do it on myself at this point.
So selfish.
And then the other one that I had was Peter Brand's algorithm from Moneyball so that we never get advanced stats in baseball. I would steal the algorithm so that we just like, hey, he's just got to dig in and rub some dirt on it.
We're back to just arguing about Nomar versus Jeter with no stats.
Yeah.
Nomar wants it more.
It was more fun back then.
It really was.
OPS, I don't know how to do math.
It's what's killed baseball.
That's a good one. I hadn't thought of that.
What do you have, Sal?
I would say,
do you have the They Live glasses?
This is in there. They Live glasses is up there, definitely. The Raiders stuff. I don't know. I guess I still don't know about the briefcase and Pulp Fiction. It just could be affidavits that are lit up or something. I have no idea.
Well, why did it light up? We never. I guess we'll have to do the podcast to figure it out.
In 2027, when you actually.
Yeah.
I don't even think this is the most sought after prop in this movie. Wouldn't you take the DeLorean, right?
Oh, I was going to say
the time machine.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but like,
you take the pink hoverboard?
Oh, the hoverboard's great too. Yeah.
You're pretty sick.
But you're not going to get to 1885 in the hoverboard. Like you can go to any time. Like Bill, you like Rome? Oh, you would have loved Rome in 1912. Like it would have been so much better.
The DeLorean's a great answer.
Yeah.
I think that the DeLorean though requires a lot of maintenance that I wouldn't have the wherewithal to do. So I would be the guy who gets stuck in the Great Depression.
Interesting.
Chris would be on his hoverboard going around LA and some homeless person would just throw a beer bottle at him and knock him off. He'd be dead. My number one, all great choices.
Yeah.
The limitless pill to me is number one.
You bring this up a lot. Didn't you just bring this up about Karl Anthony Towns? Like the other day, you were like, he's on the limitless.
About Edwards. How everything slowed down for Edwards.
Yeah.
I was doing the analogy of Cooper at the end of that movie with De Niro.
Awesome.
It's like, there's going to be a car accident right over there. The guy's going to look at his phone and the car crashes into De Niro's like, what the fuck's going on? He's like, I see everything, Carl. I would love the limitless pill because I feel like you could also use that for gambling. So I basically get the greatest sports almanac.
That's right.
I could just assess games.
Right.
I have an IQ of like 220 and the mental energy to just watch 7 games at once.
The only thing with the limitless
playoffs.
pill is the first thing you have to do is immediately start making more limitless pills, and that you will now have an addiction to the limitless pill.
That's fine.
Okay.
It's
I'm
like
good with
the
that.
movie YouTube channel ringer and the basketball YouTube channel ringer. You'd have to, that would be your life.
You just got to have a lot of YouTube channels.
Yeah. Let me throw in a wild card. The salad in When Harry Met Sally.
The orgasm salad.
Meg, those are noises I haven't heard in years. You might want that. Or the pill.
So how would you handle the almanac? You're not telling anybody? You'd have to tell Harry.
I don't think you can. I don't think you could tell anybody.
Just secretive.
You wouldn't want to be friends with me because I think I would ruin the games for you. You want to see the results.
We'd be watching a lot of like preseason because there wasn't in the almanac.
Incredible for Guess the Lines. You would get so fucking mad.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're wrong. I don't know, Bill. But
I'd just be reading Sal's face.
Do you think you'd quit Guess the Lines if you were just like, that's it, I don't want to do this anymore?
If Sal knew all the answers, we'd have to
I would still lose
lines.
Guess the Line somehow to you. No, even knowing everything.
Sounds like I have the week 1 results.
What the
I'm still
hell?
losing. Things this movie predicted in the future. Rejuvenation clinics.
Mm-hmm.
They have those now.
Yeah.
Holograms that come out, like that Jaws 19 hologram.
That was great.
We have versions of that. We had Dead Tupac on a stage at Coachella.
Mm-hmm.
The Scenery Channel, which seemed like kind of a goofy thing to have in the movie, but now people have those, right? It's They'll just like a
Have the
TV like that.
screensaver on,
yeah,
yeah.
and
Put
it's
it on
just
for
like
a
it's
moment-
showing
our
like
dog.
the Niagara Falls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the house. Yeah.
FaceTime video chat systems. So I always thought Total Recall created this, but Total Recall is a year after. The concept of just dialing somebody up on your giant TV and talking to them.
Yeah.
I don't know if that had been in a movie.
Yeah, they
before
also
this movie.
do when Marty's kid comes home, Marty Jr.
Yeah.
He turns on 6 different
Calls for
channels
6
at once,
channels.
which
Yeah.
is basically like, I'm gonna have my phone, I'm gonna have my iPad, and I'm gonna have TV. You're doing that now.
Yeah, Ben Simmons did that last night when he came home.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was meant in the movie to be this funny thing about how chaotic the future would be. And I watched it, I'm like, oh, that looks like Tuesday night
Well, the
in
funny
Ben's
thing
room.
is, so Robert Zemeckis, the director, was like, I really didn't want to do much stuff in the future because I find that most movies that try to predict the future, are basically like so off that it winds up dating the film.
Yeah.
And instead he fucking nailed it. Like in some
Right.
ways, like if they had spent more time in 2015 in this movie, it would have been, I would have loved it because like he got so much of it right. I mean, there's even also like with Jaws 19 and like just all the franchising of culture, having Michael Jackson and Richard Nixon and, Ayatollah Khomeini and Ronald Reagan in the diner or whatever, like as waiters, like all this stuff, the idea of like taking our nostalgia and
Franchising
selling it back
nostalgia.
to us.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Ubiquitous cameras, that's in there. Unmanned flying drones. I don't think we'd ever consider that in 1989. The flat panel TVs. I feel like we probably felt like that was coming, but they certainly didn't exist in 1989. Hands-free video games. I don't think I'd ever thought about that before this movie. Where like, I forget when the Wii came to be, like mid-2000s. Wearable technology. This movie has that. Fingerprint scanners.
Yeah.
Payment on personal devices. We didn't have that in 1989. And then the self-lacing Nikes. I feel like they have those now, right?
Well, they did the mags, the Nike mags, and I think they go for like 30 grand now. So like they did a limited edition of them. I don't think they
So
do
what's the most
self-lacing.
impressive prediction to you, Sal? Out of all those things I listed.
I think the hologram would be like, what the hell? What are we even looking at?
Yeah, how'd they
This is
even know to
really
think
stupid.
about that?
I'd love to see the Jaws 19 one where it actually scares the crap out of you. I think we need to work harder on that. But I do feel bad. Like the flying cars, to your point, I think he had to put that in there, but it really is so far off.
Yeah, but like we have like automated self-driving cars. We're probably not that far from like in your lifetime there will be flying
There'd be
cars.
so many accidents. So many.
And such a far, the cars would have to bounce when they fell. Yeah, I had for biggest misses, flying cars, hoverboards. We still don't have those, although we do have those weird segways. Self-drying jackets, never seen that.
That's a good idea.
Automatic dog walkers sounds great. Like, sign me up if we can ever figure out that piece. Because we have those little things that deliver, those little delivery
Isn't it the whole
robots.
ritual for you is to go take the dog
Yeah,
for
really.
a 3-hour walk after a Celtics
I
loss?
can't take Murph anywhere. Murph's angry.
Really?
Yeah, he's COVID damaged. Doesn't really like
You
people
think
that much.
Murph has PTSD from the pandemic?
We didn't socialize him enough. He hates everybody. It's the first angry golden retriever.
Get him together with Einstein in this movie. And
hydrated pizza.
Yeah.
You would have probably had the Black & Decker hydrator.
I think for everybody, for the kids, right?
Yeah.
Just on the road. You cannot make dinner quick enough for
It's a
the
funny
kids,
bit
so.
when she's got the little bag and they're like,
Yeah,
we're
right.
never going to be able to eat all that.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done mac and cheese too for that.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There could have been chicken nuggets. I could have had more food. And then the other miss was the Cubs winning the 2015 World Series against the Miami Gators, who did not exist in 1989, but had them in the American League. So that was a miss. And then I kind of like the Miami Gators as a name.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty strong.
They should change it. Yeah, maybe like 1,200 people will show up if they change it.
Yeah, they could bump it up another 100. So Chris
Hashtag
mentioned
Gator culture. You like that? Yeah.
Gator culture. Zemeckis only agreed to do the sequel if Fox and Lloyd returned as well. And then, as Chris mentioned, did not want to make it Blade Runner-y. Wanted to make it fun and more goofy.
It's kind of like more Epcot Center meets a shopping mall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That said, for a sequel, this has, I think, the most not returning, like, second level cast
they
members.
lost a couple of the actors through negotiations and other things in the process. But I remember, at the end of Back to the Future 1, it says to be continued, right? Like there is like an allusion to the idea that there's going to be a sequel. But one of the things that's funny about 2 is that they shot it in conjunction with 3. They block shot it, and like there's great stuff.
And by the way, me and Sal, our generation was very aware they were filming the 2 movies simultaneously, and I'm not really sure how we knew that.
No, I don't
but
know.
But I definitely knew they were making that. Maybe Michael J. Fox mentioned it on like Letterman or something.
Yeah, and he was also making Family Ties during this. This is like one of the all-time like Tom Thibodeau salutes Michael J. Fox for playing 48 minutes.
Right.
Like, he's shooting Family Ties during the day and Back to the Future at night, and making 2 Back to the Future movies back to back. And,
for like a year.
Yeah, and when you get to the end of Back to the Future 2, it ends with a trailer for Back to the Future 3, and that was the first time when I saw this in the theaters, I remember being like disappointed.
Actually, well, that was the recurring theme of that reaction. Was everybody was like, "What the fuck? This isn't why? What?"
Yeah, and one is so perfect. It's like a perfect little box. He fixes the future by fixing the past. He's got his girl. He's got his truck. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like, oh yeah, he's gonna go running off into the future or past again, like Doc is. So this is the first experience that I had with being like, man, maybe I don't know if I want more of this. Like I and especially at the end of 2, you're like, so now he has to go back to the past. Now he has to go to the West.
It's the anti-Sopranos, right? It's they should have met in the middle somewhere. Sopranos fades to black. Like, no, maybe I want more, but what the? And this is like, oh, hold on a second. Let me just take this movie in before we go to 1885 and meet Biff's, terrible Western, version of himself.
Yeah.
So.
Do you like 3 or no?
I like 2 more than 3.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of 3.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I watched one.
You
I
hate
really like
Steenburgen. You always hated him.
I just had the Wild West. It's like I always feel like it's corny when
there's
try
something
to put
kind
stuff
of
in there.
Childlike about the sequels to me, where they don't really feel like stories. They're like continuing adventures of these characters doing time travel stuff. But one is like, I need, like, what if I could help my parents? What if I could save my parents somehow and make their lives better by going back and changing at this one crucial moment? And instead, when you keep adding on to it, it's like, well, then is every moment somehow crucial? Like if you fix this and you fix that and you fix this, but then this, and this happens, which is probably accurate to the like ideas of time travel. But for storytelling, it's like, you want the idea that like your dad has to punch Biff at the dance. And that's how like his life changes. That was the hinge moment of his life.
Yeah.
Also when Marty created rock and roll.
That's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I do like going back to going from one movie to the other, like how important it was to pick it up right where one and two, like
it starts
Marty has
second.
been through. It's like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. I've been through the equivalent of 1,000 red eyes.
Yeah.
And Doc Brown has to fly right in at that moment. He's like, can we do this in like 3 days?
I know.
Can I just catch
Marty's
my breath?
Like, I haven't taken a dump since last week. I just got to take a dump.
I mean, eating dehydrated
10 minutes.
pizza.
And by the way, can't you just tell me what to do? Do we have to travel? Like we have one ending where they're handing a letter. Hey, read this in 30 years.
Yeah.
But I have to jump on with my girlfriend and travel back.
Ebert said that only Russ Meyer was the only other filmmaker by this point in 1989 who ended a movie with a coming attractions for the next movie. But people didn't like it. It made people mad. And the third movie didn't do nearly as well as the second movie, which didn't do as well as the first movie.
Right.
There's some good research in this about how they landed on going back to 1955. Initially, it was supposed to be 1967. They decided they were going to be protesters. They decided that didn't work.
Well, it was also because George and Lorraine would have been too old to be hippies.
Right. They decided on 55. Crispin Glover, we'll get to later, starts hijacking them for money. That gets fucked up. All of a sudden now they do 85 and 2015 and then the end going back. And as Chris said, he wanted to make the future like a nicer, goofier, happy place, not like a crazy place. The writer of this movie, I think what's his name? Bob Gale. He said they took inspiration from Donald Trump for 1985 Biff.
What?
Yeah.
I knew it was some kind of casino owner, abhorrent, just braggart, tyrant, but I thought
so
Steve Wynn.
Yeah.
I figured
they full Trump
one of the Fertitas. No?
How many movies has Trump somehow?
I mean, this Home Alone 2. I mean, like,
I feel like this is the 5th one we've done. The other thing is they had, and it just doesn't seem like a big deal now, but it was then, that industrial light magic with the ability to put Michael J. Fox 3 different ways in the same scene.
Yeah, right.
They wait until 1989. If I'm doing a scene with Sal, but Sal's playing me, doing my voice. You want to do my voice?
Okay. All right.
Sal, they would have had to cut it, film it. They would have had to like
Make
shop.
like a tree. Leave.
Right.
Yeah.
Ooh, nobody calls me chicken.
Right. So then they just were able to do this so much easier after this. And that's where we went. Michael J. Fox, it's almost over here for him as a movie star. He had Casualties of War, came out 1 month earlier with John Penn, Brian De Palma. Good Vietnam movie. Not a feel-good movie.
No.
And then he had this in 3. We're about a year and a half away from Doc Hollywood and The Hard Way, Sal.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of does this. I think he gets the MS diagnosis
that
at some
probably
point.
has something.
Then he goes back to TV for a while, right?
But he
Spin
keeps
City.
that secret, goes back to Spin City. But this is
before he was diagnosed, and there's talk about how he couldn't negotiate the hoverboard because of the early
like
stages
stage and
of
balance
maybe
stuff.
this is-
But they didn't realize
Right.
what it was. This is a nitpick. I'll just do it. He's too old in this movie. And so is Elizabeth Shue. Like it's all of a sudden the 90210 theory of like, you guys are sophomores in college, but Ian Ziering's 35.
It may have made sense if they had just been like, it should have been Marty is in at UCLA or whatever.
I would have fast forwarded it. Or
And
even
then
like
Doc
he could have been a
comes
young
back.
adult.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think that would have been a better idea. But Zemeckis was so adamant about starting it from the moment
Right.
that it took off that they had to recast Claudia Wells.
Yeah.
Is that her name?
Yeah. That's Jennifer.
With Elizabeth Shue, and they do a shot-by-shot remake of the ending for part 2.
Yeah, well, the last 30 minutes is just the end of Back to the Future reshot from different characters' POVs.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if Zemeckis would do that over again.
Well, so to the Fox point, you're just up against the thing that I think also kind of happened to Matthew Broderick, where and to some extent, I think I would leave it at those two more.
And Craig.
I was gonna say Cusack, but Cusack goes deeper into his like late 20s and early 30s of just like you have this essential boyish charm. And as you grow out of it and probably make different choices for the kind of movies you're doing, obviously you've got a legion of actors coming up behind you who are doing the Ferris Bueller and Marty McFly parts now. And they just never graduate into the angry young man, middle-aged man kind of roles. And obviously Fox's illness had a lot to do with that. But I think was also...
Well, he also looked young and he was...
Yeah.
But you have to, that's why you have to shoot these quickly, right? Like if there was a Ferris Bueller sequel, they're like, all right, let's get on this now.
I mean,
he's gonna
Stranger
start
Things
looking
comes
older.
out and those kids are like, they look like...
Stranger Things is a great example.
Yeah.
Euphoria is another good example.
Yeah.
Where there's just no way those kids can be
They're
in high
gonna do
school
a time
now.
jump
They're
for Euphoria,
in the
but
late 20s now.
Yeah.
All that said, and everything he's been through, Michael J. Fox, he looks better. The 2015 Michael J. Fox, the actual Michael J. Fox, looks better than Marty McFly in 2015.
Yes.
They like age him and he's great and everything else.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
The
he
aging
really
stuff's tough
looks
in
pretty
this
good.
movie. I like the Cusack point. Because he was in high school movies in like 1982, and then in Say Anything, he's back in high school in 1989.
Yeah.
And that was just the era where we just cheated with stuff like that.
Grease made it all, opened it up.
Jeff Conaway.
33-year-old seniors in high school.
True
so it's
Stockard
fine.
Channing.
Yeah.
$40 million budget, made $332 million. Third highest grossing movie of 1989, which was a movie year that was super fun and also a good kind of snapshot of where movies were going. A lot of sequels, a lot of big spectacle with a lot of promotion, and maybe the script wasn't there. This was, I think, the year, maybe another 48 Hours, either this year or next year. It was Fletch 2. It's like
and they were
all the
making
sequels
this,
were
and
happening.
it's like Bob Gale's finishing 2 while Zemeckis is shooting 3. It's like kind of what you see a lot with like big blockbusters today, where it's like, look, we got these actors for this window, we got to do it. We'll fix the script while we're doing it. We'll fix the script in post. We'll fix the script.
And you know, it was missing in 1989, cocaine. It's like in 83, you could do it. Like, tell Bob, like send him a bag, and he can.
Could they show Biff doing a line in the hot tub during the hot tub scene or something?
He should have done Tony Montana.
Right,
his face. Roger Ebert, 3 stars. Back to the Future Part 2 is an exercise in goofiness An excursion into various versions of the past and future is so baffling. Even the characters are constantly trying to explain it to each other. He had some complaints and then said, and yet the movie is fun, mostly because it's so screwy.
Yeah, they have these pretty long expository scenes all the way down to having a chalkboard to explain time travel.
Right.
Yeah.
But then all the action scenes and all the comedy is basically like Buster Keaton. It's like almost slapstick comedy like that.
Which I kind of miss. Like we'll get to the rewatchables after the break, but like that whole 20-minute sequence of him just trying to get the magazine back, I feel like they don't do that enough in movies anymore. Where it's like, oh man, he almost got
now it just
now he's
like,
stuck under the desk.
And the music helps.
That was
the
in the
scene,
car.
This is all
and
great.
just, you're just the whole, and I know it's gonna happen, but the whole time I'm like, All right, most rewatchable scene. Would you put the shot-by-shot remake of the ending? Because I would not.
Oh yeah.
You would?
Yeah. The last half hour of this where it recreates Back to the Future.
No, I'm saying at the beginning of the movie.
Oh, at the beginning of the movie. Oh, not really. No.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. I started with Marty putting on the self-lacing Nikes, which gives us, he gets to see downtown Hill Valley in 1985. He gets to see Biff's grandpa.
The nostalgia store with the Perrier. And
the Cafe 80s, which is hilarious. 2 McFlys in the Cafe 80s. We get a hoverboard chase. Really strong 7 minutes, though.
Specifically, I thought the Cafe 80s was great, but I also love that stuff. You brought up Khomeini and Reagan and MJ or waiters and just the video game. We see Elijah Wood as a kid, there and that, and Marty. Most importantly, in that scene, hey Griff, look, doesn't work. It's like the crane kick in Kid 2. Like, oh boy, what do we do now? This is not happening. So.
Do you do that to you? When did your sons realize that you were tricking them?
They do it to me now. It's not good. Yeah,
I did that to Ben for 4 years. Of like, what'd you get on your shirt? You look down and it stopped working around age 11.
Right.
It'll be one of the reasons he puts me in a home. The Cafe 80s. I was going to do this later, but we have so much for later. I'll do it now. I just don't know why did we get Bubba Gump Shrimp Company and all that? Like, why didn't we get Cafe 80s? How is that not a chain restaurant?
I'm kind of shocked because
what the fuck is everyone doing?
You would have the wait staff could be dressed like in cool 80s clothes. You would have like kind of like maybe you could have like throwback soft drinks and then just serve cheeseburgers and pizza. Like, what's the hard part about this?
Why Johnny Rockets? Why did Johnny Rockets sail up into the sky, but Cafe 80s just died? You wouldn't have gone to Cafe 80s in Manhattan Beach? I took the kids to Cafe 80s last night.
Yeah,
we would do this from Cafe 80s. We would do the rewatchables.
Playing Duran Duran, drinking a Pepsi, you know?
Yeah. We could, by the way, Bill, you could open a Cafe 80s.
Want me to do it?
All right, fine. Yeah, just do it.
I'll do it. We'll talk after. I really enjoy this 7-8 minutes though. And also like Zemeckis, they spent 2 years building the different
80s
sets.
Cafe maybe a little bit different than most people though.
Probably Johnny Marr would have been in there. People are like, who's that?
Is this a shrine to Len Bias? What is this?
Why is Letterman and Chris Elliott two of the waiters?
Bruce Jenner.
Rewatchable, next one. Marty buys the Gray's Sports Almanac. It's not a long scene.
Yeah.
But it's great. You see
the
it's
dust
like,
jacket stuff.
Go get it. Go get it. And then Doc just fucking cockblocks it. I didn't invent the time machine for financial gain. Settle down, Doc.
Right.
Like maybe get some friends your own age.
DeLoreans don't buy themselves, man.
Yeah. And then they knocked out Jennifer, who I have some thoughts on in different categories. Next scene, Marty returns to 1985. His house is gone. We get to meet Biff Tanner's Pleasure Paradise. This version of the future is, from what I can tell, bikers, strippers, casinos, and gambling. Is this your favorite version of the future we've had?
It's just a mess. There's car crashes and fires and like fights. Actually, they shot it 3 blocks from the Spotify studio. 2 days ago.
3 blocks.
Yeah,
40 feet
right outside this office. Yeah, it's pretty great. It's funny that the bum is the only one who's not affected. From life to life.
That's right.
It's the only one in the whole movie. It doesn't matter what the hell happens. So something nice.
So we learned Biffco created legalized gambling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great job by him.
Smart. Yeah.
Yeah. And then got bought by Paddy Power, merged with FanDuel Sportsbook. Next scene, Marty confronts Biff about the almanac. And that's where we get it. We go into the casino. We get the safe. Biff, this is probably the best version of Biff of all the Biffs we get in this movie. There's a couple. I thought 1985 or 2015 Biff kind of dialed it up.
Yeah, I was gonna save that for overacting.
Yeah,
but
I think it was pretty
Griff
clear
is
who was
pretty
winning.
annoying. Yeah,
Pretty clear who was winning the overacting.
Biff,
award,
though, in this, he goes back to, he's like, I'll find it. We must find out what the precise date where he was handed the almanac. Is Biff smart enough to remember the precise date that it was October 12th? Like, yeah, I don't know. It was a freaking Saturday.
Right. Sometime in 55.
What the hell do I know? I was
yeah.
doing so
That
many
whole
drugs
scene with
back
Marty
then.
and Biff, where he's like,
Yeah.
you know your history. I'm just like,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
doesn't seem like the
right.
kind of guy who would
It's
care.
like, by the
about
way, he was 4. If you do the math, when George was murdered, he was 4 years old, Marty, when he told the story about Biff and the manure. Like, it didn't make any
Right.
sense. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Where do you stand on Marty ascending to the top of a very dangerous building? The DeLorean's hovering underneath and just kind of
It's a great move.
casually dropping.
Yeah.
Like, you really have to have some, like, I don't know if David Blaine tries that.
Right.
I'm trying to think of people that would do that. You really have to be
That would be a
coordinated.
hell of a way to open your Cafe 80s is to have David Blaine recreate the Marty McFly fall off the
that's
roof
good.
onto the DeLorean.
That's good.
I would be scared to do that if the DeLorean was 4 feet below and I had to just jump, but he did it perfectly.
Well, yeah, I think our friend Brad would do it, but only by accident. Just like spiral off the roof. But you also have to consider that there's like a lot of attempted murder going on with Biff's
That's right.
lovable character.
Also, a lot of confessing to murder.
Yeah.
This is the same gun that killed your dad.
Right. It's just
How
needless
fitting.
confession. Biff showing young Biff the almanac's power with
With
the
a-
UCLA 1917 game. Jim Decker with the winning field goal.
That was a real game against
Sal
Washington.
in a previous life had the other team laying 2.
Well, that's
Lost
the point
that
and a
one.
half. Come on, you heard the guy said it's over. What are you talking about?
The 2 docs interacting is short but super fun. When he shows up and he's got to pretend. I was like, when people, because they had already established you don't want to see each other.
But
Yeah.
in Back to the Future 1,
Mhm.
apparently in that scene, there is a guy walking down the street. So
Which they said wasn't intentional.
was not
'cause
intentional, but
they never
took
thought they were
advantage
doing
of
a
it.
sequel.
Really, really
All
smart
right,
idea.
but Doc, who is such a rule follower in this thing, like, no, we must not break the continuum, time continuum. Oh, if Jennifer sees her future self, she's going to go crazy. There's 2 options here. He's practically nose to nose with the other
yeah,
Doc.
he's
Like,
basically like
Yeah.
helping the guy
he's
invent
not
time
playing
travel.
it safe,
Yeah.
right?
I liked your Doc voice. I thought that was pretty solid.
Run for it, Marty.
Marty trying to get the almanac back
Mm.
from Biff and Strickland and Biff's car, which also has the recreating the original prom sequence, a good car chase, a great 15 minutes. I think this is my favorite part of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to go with this for most rewatchable.
Yeah, I got this for most rewatchable
Yeah,
scene too.
it's just really good. It's just really good.
It's also like, there's a degree of like almost necrophilia to like revisiting it and everything, but like to do it so creatively
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
and have like scenes from Back to the Future, which by this point is like, by 89, Back to the Future is like kind of a classic.
Oh, it's
Oh,
an
yeah.
iconic 80s
Yeah,
movie.
yeah,
at
And
this
to
point.
have it be like, oh, like what if like we're shooting it from the perspective of like behind the car where this is all happening, or from a window across the courtyard from where this is all happening. It's so inventive. It's so
I feel
fun.
like it was on HBO for like 3 straight years.
Yeah.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, that's when.
So by the time this came out, we knew all the beats of that dance scene. And even now watching it, I couldn't figure out how much was shot new, how much was old,
Mhm.
how they merged it.
right. So when
I
you see
just couldn't
Crispin
tell.
Glover and the telescope type thing,
Yeah.
like, oh, is that? Did they have to read?
Did
Obviously
they have
didn't
other
redo it
shots
'cause,
when he's playing guitar? Were they
Yeah.
using shots from the first movie?
Was that generally well received in the moment? Were people okay with them going back and retinkering with like a classic? Were people upset about that?
I think there seemed to be general disappointment in that they basically redid Back to the Future 1 and then the closing credits, I think, were the 2 things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that this is like, that would be something. I mean, they do this in the Avengers Infinity War and Endgame when they're jumping around time. Like they reshoot classic Marvel scenes from those perspectives. Like it became standard to do that, but at the time I think it was like, wow, you're so like, but this was like, actually, you gotta remember, like the Star Wars movies, the Raiders movies, this
Yeah.
was our first real experience, I think, with like
in the moment's
franchise.
blockbuster sequels. Yeah, you're
and
right.
the idea that the story you'd have to wait a year or two to get the end of the story.
You know what else I noticed? I went back through all, because I have all the premiere magazines from 89 and 90, and they never did a Back to the Future 2 or 3 feature. But they had this giant, Michael J. Fox was on the cover of the November 89 one for Casualties of War. And it kind of alludes to Back to the Future. But it corroborated some of the research, which is that they tried to keep this so secret what was going to happen and not spill too much, that I think it actually kind of backfired on them. Because then when people saw it, they had no idea that it was basically just a 2-part movie.
Right.
And I think that was our reaction when we saw it in the theater too. It's like, I don't know what I thought Back to the Future 3 was going to be, but I didn't know it was like basically a 7-month intermission.
Yeah.
And it was a 2-part movie. I think people were disappointed.
And it was a love story. It's like,
Yeah.
we kind of avoided that that part of it. But by the way, if you guys say this is your favorite scene, they cut a few minutes out of that when Strickland goes back to the office. He is furiously masturbating to Ooh La La magazine.
Right.
And they took that out.
It was a hard.
You didn't see that part? We got the director's cut.
They didn't.
Yeah.
They had NC-17 back then, but they said it was a hard R.
That was
they
when
never
Byron
showed
Mayo was going to
erection.
come into this.
And Marty's
situation.
under the desk. Oh no.
Oh, Principal Strickland.
Feel
Get out
it.
the Lubriderm.
Put
You're
your
all alone.
Put your slacker away.
What's age the best? What was your favorite scene then? You didn't tell us. Most rewatchable.
No,
for
I
you.
said the 80s cafe.
Okay,
There's one
80s
I just
cafe,
want
okay.
to throw out
Yeah.
there that's really good is the failed future McFlys. So
Yeah.
like that's the Pizza Hut. That's Michael J. Fox playing his father,
Right.
himself, his son, and then his sister.
Sister.
Yeah.
Which is I was like,
I learned that last
I
night.
was like, all right, yeah.
It's coming up in a category.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that I thought I really enjoyed. And that's got like the descending fruit tray and everything. Yeah,
The sending fruit tray is fun.
yeah.
I didn't have that. Yeah, you're right. That should be in there. That's
Although
that's
the
a
idea of
candidate.
kids calling for fruit at dinner.
That was
Right.
pretty funny.
That freaking thing would rot in the top of
Oh my
the ceiling
god,
for
it'd be
months.
in such bad
I've had
shape.
cantaloupe
Oh,
up there since April. Come on, you gotta have some.
What's age the best? All the guesses about the future we mentioned. Any movie that starts with Steven Spielberg presents, it has my attention.
Yeah.
Mm.
So October 2015, Marty goes back to the future in this movie. We did the first episode of the Bill Simmons podcast, October 1st,
Oh, wow.
2015, that month. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Probably
that was
just
when
a
we launched. That was
coincidence.
when you and Greenwald started,
started
doing the
cranking,
watch.
yeah.
We started cranking out the Ringer
Back to the
Podcast
Future
Network,
4.
October
I
2015.
would say almost definitely a coincidence.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Probably. Alan Silvestri's score.
I had this. This was actually, I think this was the background music for the Universal Studios
Oh yeah.
backlot tour in Florida.
Yeah.
And so like
Right.
I just would hear this when I would go to that like for 12 hours.
This is gonna sound funny to be at what stage the best, but the lack of chemistry, sexual tension, or really any reason for Elizabeth Shue and Michael J. Fox to be together
They
is
also-
hilarious.
Tranquilizer after 45
Yeah.
I
seconds.
have no idea why she's in this
Right.
movie, why she took the part.
Yeah.
All she does is basically sit next to them for a little bit and then pass out.
We think that these movies are so carefully like orchestrated and planned,
They're
and
just
so
not.
much about it is so well crafted. But Bob Zemeckis was like, yeah, if I had thought about it for more than 5 minutes, I probably wouldn't have started the next second.
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't have had
There's no reason
I wouldn't
to.
have had Jennifer get into the car.
No.
Or- yeah.
And by the way, very, very, I don't know, again, the stickler to rules, and the three of them, they're in there, no seatbelt, lapping it
I
together.
know.
Right.
Not good. And I think he brings it up to Doc later on. He's like, why do we even bring Jennifer? He actually has
Yes.
to say that.
He's
So-
like, I had
yeah.
to do something. Yeah.
Right. Zemeckis said the only films he liked that tried to predict the future were Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
Hmm.
2001 Clockwork, right?
So he decided to make it funny, which I think is a what stage the best, because I just don't think anybody ever thinks to do
That's
it
what
that
I
way.
have written down.
They showed Marty putting on the Nike Air Mag tennis shoes. Well, Hyperdunk Supreme came out July 2008. Fans immediately dubbed them the Air McFly. And they filed a patent for self-lacing shoes in 2009. So that whole idea aged really well and made Nike money somehow. The Jaws 19 trailer I have for what's aged the best. The oceans are disappearing, and to save their home, the sharks must attack. This time it's really, really personal. Really good. What else do you have?
Somebody actually went through and teased out
I saw that.
what all 19 Jaws movies would have been about, and a lot of them were kind of Rocky movies, basically, like Russian shark versus American shark. I have the Alvin Silvestri scores. Would age the best?
What do you have?
Did you have Max Spielberg directing the?
Oh, yeah,
which,
that's right.
which
that
Jaws,
was smart.
I think you hit on it. Well, first of all, Michael J. Fox aged the best because, like I said, in 2015 he looked better than what they portrayed him to be. I think the jokes still hold. All the future jokes, like, oh man, well, it's all in the past. No, it's in our future. I still get it. And I love the terminology. I still love slacker. I really think slacker, we should use it more. It should replace the R word. And, and I think we'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
It's just as good, you know?
I like
that's
it.
slacker.
Good note.
Yeah.
Good note, Sal.
Thank you.
Great Shack Order Award. Would you have? Most cinematic Shack, Chris?
I just had all this stuff with the hoverboard because when you go and look, the hoverboard getaway as a sequence, but especially like the shots behind the hoverboard racing, and it's like racing with him, and the fact that half of that was practical and they built these harnesses to swing guys around on, is just like, man, we used to really make shit.
I really like. I don't know where to put this. I should have put it in What Stage the Best, but the shot when the guy's hanging on the car and they look up and like the tunnel's coming and you're just going to get decapitated unless you figure out.
That's a big Raiders
I don't think
thing.
that's ever not worked.
Yeah.
Fast and Furious has done it a few times. Den of Thieves Benihana Award for scene stealing location.
Cafe 80s, right?
Yeah.
Could be Cafe 80s. Could be Biff's Pleasure Paradise. I don't know.
Pleasure Dome. Yeah.
Bikers, strippers, gambling. I don't know. It's probably a tie. Kid Cudi Pursuit of Happiness Award, Best Needle Drop. That's got to be Beat It in the Cafe 80s, right?
I Can't Drive 55 outside of the casino.
Oh, that's good.
Sammy Hagar.
That's better. You're right. Yeah. Big Kahuna Burger Award, Best Use of Food and Drink, the Hydrated Pizza. I don't know, unless you guys can top it. I was just glad Marty ate something in the movie. We never saw him eat or take a dump or pee or anything.
They had a Pizza Hut like food technician on set to like properly make the pizza. Apparently, I really like that detail.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Would that pizza get finished in your house?
Finished. It's finished in the trash.
Like how many pieces for Harrison?
Yeah, I think it would.
Like what? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's tough.
The Vincent Chase Award. Are we sure this character was actually good at his job? This is a great one. Jeffrey Weissman.
Oh, as fake Crispin?
He played fake Crispin Glover and just had prosthetics. I have no idea if he's a good actor. His IMDb is pretty sparse. Does he tell people he killed it in the Back to the Future 2 scenes? Like, I just literally don't know if he was good at his job.
He was such a great character in one, and they marginalized him, and there he is, entering upside down. It's like, oh, this is just a comic book.
Well, that leads us to the Butch's Girlfriend Award for weak link of the film. The Crispin Glover Frankenstein situation.
Yeah, it's tough.
It's brutal. So
in a movie where the female lead gets tranquilized for the first third of the movie, this guy is still the weak link. Yeah.
Right. They used previously filmed footage. They used our guy, Jeffrey Weissman. He had Glover prosthetics. They placed him in the background for some scenes. They hung him upside down. They put sunglasses on him. And then Glover filed a lawsuit, and it ended up being this like really important lawsuit that affected the future of movie
So
movie
he felt like
filmmaking.
he was getting lowballed for the offer for the second one, but he was also apparently...
Well, he's also nuts.
Well, yeah,
he was a
Crispin
fucking
Glover is
lunatic.
an all-time...
Yeah, I was watching the Letterman episode when he karate kicked Letterman, and Letterman just walked off.
Crazy shoes.
Letterman just walked off.
But also a genius. And also, he's all over the place when you ask him how much he was offered, how much he turned down. I think
the story changed like 5 times.
Yeah, it sells around $150,000. He sues and gets $765,000 for never showing up.
But his career is killed.
But he makes up with it. He was in Beowulf. He was in Zemeckis' Beowulf.
Beowulf, yeah, he came back for it.
2007.
But the thing is also is like he did shoot his mouth off about how he felt like the philosophical message of the movie towards the end is like of the end of one.
Yeah,
is that the thing that will change everything is if your parents are rich, and that's what makes it. And he's like, it should be love, it shouldn't be money. Which so
Zemeckis like, all right, I don't want to argue with you every take here.
He's like, I'm inventing fucking hoverboards. How about that? Yeah.
Also, Crispin Glover not really interested in your opinion on big picture thoughts on my movie.
The movie suffers by not having George.
It suffers.
Because,
it really hurts.
Yeah.
It hurts
George
the movie.
in the first film,
right,
is Marty being like, I love my dad, but I'm also revolted by my dad, so I have to fix my dad. And to not have him in the second one.
It's a father-son movie, the first one. Exactly. So then Doc kind of fills that void. But to me, it's like, it's the torn ACL of the movie. It was still able to play, but
if you ever replace the weak link, it should be the torn ACL of this movie.
The Butch's girlfriend becomes the torn ACL.
Yeah.
Maybe we try to figure out what the injury is.
The Joel and
because sometimes it could just sometimes it could just be like a sore neck.
Yeah.
But in this case, this is like a torn ACL or like a Ben Simmons
tear.
Yeah.
Ben Simmons microdissectomy back injury. All right? So we all agree that's a weak link.
Yeah.
What's age the worst? The mentioned this earlier, but the impact of the same actor playing two characters in one scene, technology, which we're just used to now, but 1989, it was groundbreaking.
Yeah.
So just that groundbreaking has aged the worst because it's hard to explain. What do you have? I have some, but
so I wanted to cite a review I read when I was going through for research. This guy, Jonathan Rosenbaum, is a great movie critic, wrote a piece for the Chicago Reader at the time. It's a really short review, but he's kind of like, the first movie was cool. Like Marty was cool and he was a rocker and he was rebellious. And this movie, he's kind of a dork who spends most of it helping a guy explain time travel.
Yeah.
And he's like, this movie is a little bit nerdy and geeky. And the first movie is like fun and cool and rock and roll. And
Marty's cool.
Yeah. And this movie, like, I think what's aged the worst is like, after a while, I'm like, all right, guys, like enough with the fucking science talk. Like, do something fun. You know what I mean? Like,
so basically, this movie is a parallel to Major League Baseball.
Exactly. This movie is Moneyball. Yeah.
Yeah. I think the original premise, I hate to say it, because I had no questions about it for much of my life. And then I'm like, this is kind of dumb. This really is. If Doc had just gone back and said, instead of taking them and, tranquilizing her, if he just said like, hey, you need intense therapy about this chicken stuff.
Yes.
That's
my God.
Just go to a therapist and get this chicken stuff out of your head.
I had this later. Yeah.
You're very, very focused on not breaking the time continuum until someone calls you a chicken. Oh, by the way, Doc is waiting for you on the roof. Hurry the hell up. What are you doing? So just get this out of your head.
Well, ultimately, what's the premise of this movie? He's got to bring Marty to the future because his kids are annoying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are our kids? Are we
Flimsy.
assholes? By the way, they weren't that. He wasn't
Whose
that
kids
great
aren't
off
annoying,
either.
by the way?
I know.
Jesus.
How about this? Don't let him hang out with Biff or Griff or anything that we're
just
get with that.
Get away from the tangents.
Yeah,
Maybe move.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably smarter to be like, we have to go back in time and just kill Biff.
Yes.
Kill the first Tannen, whoever that is.
Yeah.
Kill
who
Grandpa
came over to
Tannen.
the States. Yeah.
What's age the worst? Marty and Jennifer just are too fucking old. They're supposed to be. Elizabeth Shue at that point is like 5 years away from making Leaving Las Vegas. Like, come on.
Right.
She'd just been in Cocktail as a grown adult, falling in love with Brian Flanagan, the bartender. What's age the worst? Pepsi. A lot of Pepsi in this movie.
Too much. Way too much for my
a
life.
lot
You
of
don't like Pepsi?
No, I'm not a Pepsi guy.
He hasn't had Pepsi since 1982.
August 2nd, 1982.
No.
You didn't know this?
Yeah.
No.
I made the
didn't see that
mistake
in
of
the
getting
notes?
him a soda last week, and he was like looking at it like I was giving him hydrochloric acid.
was very
He's like,
mad.
is this Pepsi? I'm like, yeah, but you'll drink. And I was like, and he just brought it back out
No,
of club
it's
soda.
Satan's piss. I had to turn it in. Yeah.
It tastes really well.
No.
The
come on.
Rewatchables is brought to you by Pepsi.
I was just thinking maybe for future purposes.
Michael J. Fox playing his daughter is just super weird.
Yeah, so-
I just don't understand why they did
We
it.
had a run
It's
here.
a budget
get it.
thing.
Some Eddie Murphy movies, some Mike Myers movies
Right.
where it was just like, maybe just because we can doesn't mean we should.
Yeah, they playing it. Did they think this was going to be like hilarious?
Yeah, and
laughter
I'm like,
from
you're
the
not
audience?
Eddie Murphy. Like, that's not that funny that you're playing your own sister.
Really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
Didn't get that at all.
And also, they all have to have like masks on and stuff so that you, like, it's a very strangely, like, it's like, could you just not have hired an actress to play Jennifer?
Well, and here's a guy who, like you mentioned, he's shooting Family Ties. He's doing this. Like, all right, yeah, but when we can have anyone play this scene, no one's ever
Exactly.
going to care about what she looks like or what she sounds like. But let's get you in makeup for another 11 hours.
Yeah.
Well, also, wouldn't it have made more sense, like just from a 1989 impact standpoint, to just have Justine Bateman in some way
Oh, yeah.
as his sister?
That's
like,
fun.
why not? It's funnier to me than like, oh my God, Michael J. Fox is in drag. Miami being in the American League is age the worst.
Or any league.
or
Just
either
like-
league.
Yeah.
And then the Back to the Future trailer 3 at the end that we mentioned. Well, the Ruffalo Hannah Rubinek Partridge overacting word, it's easy. That is Biff's grandson, Griff. They really let who's the guy who plays Biff? What's his name?
Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson. They really let him explore the studio space with Griff. Griff is one of the most annoying characters probably that we've ever done in the Rewatchables.
Yeah.
I hate Griff.
He's like half.
I don't hate him for the right reasons. I just hate him.
He's in the Warriors, kind of like he's like.
Yeah.
Seems he seems like he expands like Super Mario. Yeah.
He just sucks.
But the kids weren't the kids from back then. I mean, you see Martin Marty's just walking around like this, and Biff.
Yeah.
Like, they're just all cartoon characters and stuff. But
I don't
I
get
had a
that.
different one for a while.
Okay, what do you got?
I thought Lorraine at first, right there in the casino, actually.
Oh, Lorraine with the big boobs.
She bordered on Sharon Stone's hysterical scenes in Casino. I thought that was a little bit overacting, but
that's a good runner-up.
Yeah,
that's solid. Two really good candidates.
That's also like
one.
when you're watching it, and you're like, I'm at a Back to the Future movie. It's like that gets kind of dark.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like, all right, let's keep it a little light.
Do you think Marty's looking at her with the, her plastic surgery version of herself? Like, oh man, I might have screwed up. Maybe I should have taken a shot.
That's the weirdest part of the movie. And Marty looks at his mom and he's like, "Mom."
He does it, but she does it to him in the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess
Calvin,
that's.
you know?
I've never seen you look so big.
Yeah, right. Big.
It's pretty weird. Was there a better title for this movie? No.
How about Marty still chicken after all these years? No. All right.
Nah.
Yeah. Back to the Future 2. Electric Boogaloo. No, I guess that's it.
Nah.
We're good. Yeah.
Back to the Future 2, same game parlay.
The can you dig it a word for most memorable quote? Probably, what do you mean, a paradox? You mean one of these things that can destroy the universe? Precisely. I like the paradox, but not a lot of great quotes in this movie. Okay, it's time. The CR thinks Luke Wilson could have been Harrison Ford. Hottest take award. For hottest take from this movie, what do you have?
Given the fact that we've like really poisoned the youth of this planet, if not the country, with social media, I think it's time for hoverboards. Obviously, we have the technology, we have the
just
imagination.
to bring the kids away from the devices.
I was thinking about that. I know that the idea is like you're going to get old people getting beheaded by kids flying around on hoverboards, and like the injuries would be too significant and all that other stuff. It's already pretty bad out there. If you've ever walked around, like if you've gone to New York City recently and it's like guys are doing 40 miles per hour on e-bikes up like the alley between cars.
New York is downtown Bangkok.
Yeah.
It's just people flying everywhere.
We've broken the seal.
Mm-hmm.
I know you guys can do it. I know you have the technology. I know you have the imagination. Let's just put the hoverboards out there and let's have fun the last few years of humanity.
I feel like my son would be able to be on a hoverboard going 40 miles an hour while also texting us that he'll be back in an hour.
I know. He's going to be having like an Apple Vision Pro on while hoverboarding.
Well, it's tough because they already came out with the thing they call the hoverboard. You know, that like little two-wheel like Segway without the handlebars. That came out like 10 years ago, and everybody when I was in college was like, a lot of athletes were always like in those.
Yeah.
You know those like two-wheel things?
Yeah.
Those are called hoverboards.
But like they could do
now
the
they're
hoverboards.
birds.
We need them to hover.
Yeah.
Well, we have the birds that are all around LA.
Right.
And now it's just
and
we
it
need
would
the
be
birds
kind
to
of sick.
fly.
You have to admit, if like you could just like go 9 feet in the air and go down to 10, you know what I mean? Like and get to the beach, that would be pretty awesome.
I don't even know if that's that hot of a take.
No.
I wish we had hoverboards. I think you've stumbled on something. What do you have?
All right. Hear me out.
Oh, boy.
Marty is not George's son.
Ooh.
He's Biff's son.
That should have been Back to the Future 3.
Yes, he is. Listen, say what you want about Lorraine. We've seen her promiscuous. We've seen her flirty.
Throwing it around in
We've seen
1955.
Biff very aggressive, very, very aggressive. I don't know if it happened, how it happened, but I think that he's nothing like his father. His father's a spineless,
Sal,
right?
That makes this Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I'm your father, Luke.
Yeah,
like that
you're
would,
right.
would be so good.
Yes.
It's great. That would be a good Back to the Future 3. That would have been a better than going to the Wild Wild West.
He's not
like,
his father. He's nothing like his father.
No, he's
like, look at this loser.
He's got a temper like Biff.
You're right. Don't call me chicken. He's got his buttons to push.
I'm definitely like my father because we're taping this after the Celtics lost game 2.
You couldn't resist.
My dad didn't go and I was texting him. I just texted him, we lost because you didn't go. And he's like, that's ridiculous. We lost because we have a bet. We just started arguing about it. Yeah. We just a long text exchange of us arguing.
Before we recorded this, it was like, don't say anything that will date it. Let's get some deep game 2
Celtics
action.
are in the
It's
finals.
fine.
That's all right.
Yeah. Now the Celtics are out of the playoffs. My hot take. So in the research, they had this whole concept for 2015 that the biggest sport was called slam ball. And it didn't make it on screen because they couldn't figure out the budgets. And the way slam ball was described, it's listed on the back of the Gray's Sports Almanac. It's played in an anti-gravity chamber, and it's a combination of high-lie, handball, and roller derby.
Okay.
And my question is, where the fuck is this version of slam ball?
Yeah.
I would watch this. You would bet on this right now.
Right.
Anti-gravity.
Pickleball made it, but this didn't.
I'm trying to figure out what this. So anti-gravity, high-lie, and handball. So they're throwing something, but then people are colliding roller derby style. So are they going around?
Oh, interesting.
I just want to know more. It really caught my
attention. Is it an offshoot of roller derby? Because roller derby like kind of died down. Is that where they decided to pick it up?
Three things I've always thought should have worked: high-lie, handball, and roller derby. And now we're removing gravity. There's something here, Chris.
Do you think that the world is ready for some new sports?
Yeah, totally. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
I still feel like kickball, I probably would watch at least 20 minutes of on ESPN too. If it was like, tonight, Britain is playing France in the kickball semifinals. I'm like, all right, what does this look like?
I was just in England and I was watching snooker.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, it's kind of fun sometimes to just watch a sport you don't know the rules of at all and just try to figure them out. And they're like, oh, he's got it. No, he's not. And I'm like, what happened?
Well, what was that Winter Olympics that year when they're pushing curling?
Brushing,
And all of a sudden, everyone cared about curling for like a week and a half.
Yeah,
the Canadian team. And it became a thing, and it was fun. And then that was it for curling. Casting what ifs. Glover said the producers offered $125.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of people saying that actually wasn't true, but somehow financial stuff, and then Glover. Eventually audible too. I couldn't do it. I didn't believe in the story. I believe in love. Okay, Crispin Glover. Claudia Wells, the original Jennifer. We talked about this in the Back to the Future one. She had a family cancer crisis.
Yeah.
Dropped out and chose to care for her mother's health. And they ended up with Elizabeth Shue, who was just overqualified. I have more on this later.
Did she get a settlement too for them reshooting her
No, but
scenes?
she kind of stays out of the all of the anniversary stuff
Something
until
was weird about
2000, till later on, maybe even 2015.
15, I think.
And she appears on a DVD.
Yeah, something's fishy about it. Best that guy award. I mean, he won it for part one. Mr. Strickland. That guy. God damn it, Maverick!
He's a top gun. Yeah.
I also have Joe Flaherty as the Western Union man at the end.
See Joe Flaherty though?
Yeah, but I think that.
What was he? Happy Gilmore? Is he the heckler?
Yeah, he's SCTV.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had him too.
Deanne Waiter's award was tough.
Oh, I got this is easy.
What do you got?
Flea.
So I had Flea or any of Biff's henchmen in 2015 were the candidates.
Oh no, it's Flea.
Okay.
It's so weird.
No.
Flea's in this movie.
I just don't think Flea's that good in that scene, but he's clearly stands out
doing
the most
Flea.
of a cameo.
I mean, yeah.
Mr. Needles. I don't love that scene.
The black father with the bat.
Oh yeah.
That guy.
How many people swing a bat at Marty throughout this whole thing? It's just bats all over the place. Griff and
missed 5 swing.
Yeah,
that guy probably wins. You're right.
Yeah.
Recasting couch. Can I give you Jamie Gertz as Jennifer?
Well, you could do whatever you want.
Could
with
I give you a
Jennifer,
young Jennifer Connelly as Jennifer?
But are you going to do anything else with Jennifer?
Other than just knock her out?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I had Mindy Cohn as Jennifer, but I
like that one too.
Maybe not do. I don't know.
Mindy Cohn. Is this movie better for the director's commentary with Tony Romo or Chris Collinsworth doing the commentary?
Oh,
We've never
Mike,
done this with Sal.
Mikey woke up and he saw his mom had a new rack. You gotta love that. He just loves to get out there.
I just love the way Marty rides that hoverboard, Sal.
He's holding on to the back of a 46 Ford. There's so much going on. Come on.
He doesn't care that tunnel's coming up. He just loves it. He just loves being in the air.
So many different permutations of this timeline, Mike, but I love watching it play out.
I just love how Doc Brown is executing, going back and forth, Al. Half-assed research.
We did a lot of it.
Yeah, we did a lot of
Glover
it.
thing was
there are clauses in the Screen Actor Guild collective bargaining agreement with a lot of likeness shit
because
of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did a lot of it. The Wild Gunman video game in Cafe 80s was specifically made for the film.
Mm-hmm.
The photograph of the cover girl of Ooh La La magazine was Venetia Stevenson, taken from the July 55 issue of Swank.
Oh,
Wow.
Which I know you might have.
Yeah, I got that. It's in there.
it's actually inside the almanac.
Leah Thompson took home the prosthetic of her breast implants because it was a mold of her real chest.
Yeah.
And she didn't want anyone else to have it. And then they did the rejuvenation clinic because they didn't want to have Christopher Lloyd wearing double old age makeup.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to keep it relatively close to what he looked like and did it that way. This was the first film to be released on video cassette by MCA Universal Home Video. Yeah. Late 80s is right around when the VHS stuff really started happening.
Yeah.
Because remember, for a couple years, they were like just crazy expensive.
Right.
It was like, oh, I bought this VHS for $190.
And they've done like this trilogy, like has had a pretty steady
it's
stream
hit all
of,
the
like,
checkpoints. Yeah. Some of the items in the Blast from the Past antique store include a Jaws 2 VHS box, as well as Animal
I
House.
love Jaws in this.
Roger Rabbit doll, a bottle of Perrier, a Bee Gees album, a Pac-Man lunchbox, a Jimmy Carter peanut bank, a Magnavox transistor radio, and an AC Pro-Am video game box. There's like 50 things if you want to. If you're interested in all of them, yeah. They're online. All right, Apex Mountain. Michael J. Fox, no. Leah Thompson, no. Sports almanacs, I think unequivocally, yes. This is the go-to sports almanac, the Gray's sports almanac.
There it
Is
is.
that my camera right there. Elizabeth Shue, no way. Beat It, no. Zemeckis, no. Mr. Sandman being in a movie, I'm still going to say Halloween 2 or Halloween 1. Which Halloween had Mr. Sandman?
2.
Time travel movies? No. That's Back to the Future 1.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say this is Tom Wilson's
Yeah, that's what I
Apex?
have.
Yeah. He plays
he
19
really-
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and also, so after this it's all like voiceover cartoon
Yeah.
stuff. Like, what would it be if it's not this? Like the Pinky and the Brain episode is in, like, 6 years later.
I was going to say 2015, just the year 2015, but then Sal told that. So I think the real 2015 was actually the apex of 2015.
Yeah,
Because Sal got to do a bit with Christopher Lloyd and Michael J. Fox.
And we
That's
started to
better.
watch.
Check that
That's
out.
better than fake 2015. What else happened in sport? That was the Warriors won the first year.
Yeah.
Football.
Is that a Patriots?
That was
Probably.
Seahawks over the Broncos, February 2015.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball. Is that the year the Mets blew it?
Yeah,
right?
to the Royals.
Royals
Yep,
over
yep.
Mets. It wasn't a very good sports year.
Yeah.
I left ESPN 2015.
That's why.
That was great.
Yeah. You had the almanac.
Jeffrey Weissman, definitely Apex Mountain. Same for Ooh La La Magazine and D. Jones Manure Hauling. And then
This is the Apex Mountain of hoverboard technology.
all
because we never got it.
hoverboard related
Right.
things. And then Sal's dreams of sports gambling. What is Apex Mountain for that? What was the first time you're like, I'm fucking doing this?
They've been dashed so many times. I don't know.
Is
Yeah, I
this
would say
Apex
this is
Mountain of sports gambling movies?
Yeah, it has to. And what is it? 2 for the money is our what else are we gonna do? A Hustler.
like a fixin', like The Gambler,
Yeah, but
Jimmy Kahn.
isn't
Yeah.
he? Yeah, he's better. Yeah.
There's
I mean,
something-
I also like the Mark Wahlberg Gambler too.
Rounders.
Wow. Look
to
at that.
sell me on that.
Rounders is
Jesus.
pretty good.
Like both of those movies. Rounders.
Yeah.
Really there hasn't been a good one until they
No.
do a
But they don't bet sports in
autobiopic of
Rounders,
No,
do
Harry.
it's not a sports right.
Yeah.
Would they do a pick of Harry?
A picture
Like a
of
biopic, like how they did Cinderella Man about Jim Braddock?
did.
What about
Orca.
Focus?
Oh, Focus has great gambling. I guess that's the
Oh,
best
yeah,
gambling
yeah.
scene in the movie, the
Yeah.
Super Bowl. Yeah,
Right.
that's great.
Right.
All right, new category.
Oh, and Uncut Gems.
Oh, yeah.
Uncut Gems.
It bothers me what was allowed on that parlay and stuff like that.
Yeah,
But
Sal has a
I
lot of
just,
issues with that.
Still can't sports gamble in Connecticut. So, but.
Relatively new category that has taken over the pod. Cruz or Hanks. So are we saying Cruz or Hanks for Marty McFly or
Yeah.
Doc Brown?
No,
it's got to be
for-
Marty
for
McFly,
Marty,
right?
yeah.
So we got to use younger versions of Hanks or Cruz.
This is one where I think you could make the argument for either.
I agree. But
I think it's Hanks.
I think Hanks is a choice. I think Cruz is just too intense.
I think he would be perfect for this.
Really?
Oh yeah. You guys don't think that Tom Cruise could have played Marty McFly?
he's just too.
So like 1983 Tom Cruise?
Well, it's 80. The first one comes out in 85. He's shooting that in 84, right? Like, what's he doing in 1984?
I think Hanks is great in this movie if they have it.
I think he needs to.
If it's
be
like bosom buddies Hanks,
timid.
he's amazing in this movie.
Yeah, it's like
so this would have been right after Risky Business if to do the first one.
Interesting.
All the right moods of Risky Business outside.
Oh, so Hanks is, but we can't do it that way. It just has to be the version of themselves that make the most sense. Now this is turning the new Apex
Bounty now we can't go
about
back.
these rules.
But
Well-
I just look at Cruz arguing Demi Moore and A Few Good Men. Like, we can't have that with him and Doc. He needs to be a little more timid. I think, I feel like.
Yeah, it's
Hanks
a little
pulls
more
that
in the
out.
Josh Baskin big kind of world.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Big win for Hanks. He's back, man. Is Hanks in the lead now?
No, I think
No,
it's tied.
Cruz is still
It's tied.
winning, right?
now.
It's like
We're
4-4.
tied.
Well, who won for Along Came Polly?
Hanks.
Hanks. We did Hanks for Hanks
Okay.
on that. Racehorse, rock band, wrestler, or team name. I had Biffco. I'm surprised you didn't have Biffco Gambling as
That's
your
great.
team name.
Damn it, you're
Why
right.
didn't you think of that?
I missed that.
Jesus.
I missed that all.
All right.
I like
it's
Red the Bum.
picking nits. I'll let you guys. I have so many.
It's
I'll
too
let you
many.
guys start.
Can I ask a question? This is because this you already alluded to this.
Yeah.
Does it bother him in the first movie to get called chicken? Like, does this? It seems like because I read that they were like Marty needed a flaw, like Marty needed something to get
Mhm.
over. But the chicken thing kind of comes out of nowhere and is the governing principle of all the
I
movies.
know.
It's dumb.
weird. It's really stupid.
not good.
It's like, did he have a thing with PETA? Was he fondled by Colonel Sanders?
And it's
I have
actually,
no idea.
it would have been better to have it be you're a loser, because that's the thing that he's actually like afraid of being is a loser.
Yeah, right.
The chicken thing, it's like, yeah, Biff, I'm a chicken. You're an idiot.
Why
Like,
not instead of chicken, just like do short stuff? Maybe
Yeah,
short.
right.
He's just heard too many short jokes that sets him off.
Yeah.
I am with you though on the loser thing. I think that loser thing makes more sense. You're a loser like your
Mhm.
father,
Yeah,
or like
that-
anything like
that
that.
would be the
right.
setting
Yeah,
him off thing.
with him.
Yeah, he said, "I'm going to kill you with the same. You're a loser like your dad. Like, you son of a like that." They
Yeah.
didn't
Right.
get nearly the reaction that all this other chicken stuff does.
Give us a pick and knit.
Um,
We could just go in order until we're done.
yeah, I just like, Doc is a little bit too much with him. No one should know too much about their own destiny. It's like, well, you read the letter, you wore a bulletproof vest, and you're not alive if not for you going against your own rule
Right.
here. So I thought we were done with that. The USA Today featuring a local robbery on the front page.
Have that one.
A little weird.
I have that one.
Jennifer's
It's
fingerprint.
Marty McFly Jr. gets arrested.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
cover of the USA Today.
But it's updating in real time, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's sure. Yeah.
Dicey.
Jennifer gets fingerprinted. They're watching from afar. And they're like, all right, let's just take her to her house. We know where she lives. She's 47. Wow, this is some plastic surgery. Why can't Marty then go and get fingerprinted? I'm like, hey, check me out. I'm her husband. She had a little too much Pepsi free and vodka. Let's go get her. I'll take her home.
They're not really thinking on their feet
Yeah,
there. They're
it's a
just
great
like, I
point.
guess we have to break into the house.
Right. Yeah. Go ahead. You can take a few.
I'll
and then I
take
got
one.
Yeah.
Western Union held onto that telegram for 70
I know.
years.
They really, I don't think so.
They paid like 10 cents
They try
for
to
the
deliver
telegram.
UPS,
Right.
USPS tries to deliver packages once, and they're like, "Yeah, you can come to El Segundo to get this now."
Right. Seriously. I just, that one jumped out at me. And then we mentioned the 50 years of all the sports stuff
Mm-hmm.
fitting into the super thin almanac.
Yeah.
What do you have? I have more.
Well, I have a possibly unanswerable question nitpick, which is essentially getting underneath what's the butterfly effect of any given moment. And so,
Mhm.
do you guys think Biff's rise as both a sports gambler supreme, nuclear power broker,
Yeah.
real estate magnate, everything else, does not have like some kind of ripple effect on the results of the games that he would be betting on?
I have that as
So
well.
you have to basically imagine Biff has to go hard early because soon the idea of Biff betting at all is like an element in the timeline, right?
It's the biggest flaw in the movie because the whole premise of the movie is unless we fix this, then all of these things will happen.
Right.
But then Biff has the almanac, so all of sports should be different.
Yeah.
Like all of sports.
Yes.
So the almanac actually shouldn't work.
Like
He should be
Biff
able to just win once.
Being a nuclear power guy I don't know when that's supposed to have taken place, but I can't remember. But like, wouldn't that affect like USA versus Russia in the Olympics? You know what I mean? Like, there would be things that you like. There would be like these trickle down effects that would affect the results of games.
It feels like he should have only won once on that 1958 horse race.
Yeah,
and then mention how, and once I won the almanac,
exactly.
Right.
I lost a little because the future of sport, like there's some. Doesn't add up.
Yeah, and it
doesn't obey the rules of the movie.
Between how localized his stuff is and how like, he dated Marilyn Monroe, but also he's only going to build a casino in this town where he grew up. So it's like, it's very weird. But to your point, I also think it's screwed up that the way they fixed it, I don't think they actually fixed it. I think Biff, now we saw how he reacted to the first $300 he had to pay for the manure. Yeah. Now he has to do it again. Yeah, I don't want to get dark, but I think that's the first school killing spree right there. Like, honestly, I think he's wrong. He's like, who is this Calvin Klein and Lorraine? I know you know everybody. Who he is. I need answers.
Well, speaking of time, whatever, old Biff steals Doc's time machine and changes the past.
Yeah.
And then returns the DeLorean back to the exact same spot. Why isn't he in an alternative version of the same spot? Goes back, gives himself the almanac, comes back, returns the car, but the future is now different.
Yes. Well, he stumbles out of the DeLorean because I think he's supposed to be exhausted and kind of fucked up from the time travel. But I do think that's a flaw. Yeah.
Yeah, we have alternate universes, except in this one case when he comes back to the exact same universe that he left.
But I think someone pointed out, maybe even on Big Bang Theory, they went through this, that
Did they really?
He may not have placed his first bet yet.
Oh, right.
Because he still had 3 years.
That's right.
Interesting.
That's right.
They brought this up on Big Bang Theory?
Unless it was a joke.
What kind of research did you do for this? The 2015 World Series is over by October 20th in this movie.
Sure.
No. Nope. That was a
good
fuck
pitching
up.
that year. Just four sweeps all over.
I got one. If Doc and Marty spent half as much time just worrying about the present and try to fix that as they did crisscrossing time to like solve these little moments, don't you think that like they probably could have fixed it in the present? Like this guy invented time travel. Also, how fucking selfish. Like, just go back and kill Hitler. Like, you know, it's like the whole thing is like, we got to make sure that George McFly has a better job. Like,
and we have to make sure Marty's kids turn out better.
This guy gets like ultra triggered by getting called chicken. It's like,
what about stopping the Munich Pact?
Fuck? Yeah.
Tell Never Chamberlain to sack up.
That's why that's the most valuable prop, not this magazine.
Takes Neville to lunch. I like this could be a new category for us. I think I'm better than you.
Yeah.
Where it's just like we just scold somebody in the movie that we don't like their decisions. We gotta talk about zonked out Jennifer.
Okay.
What the fuck
Where
were they?
Is she?
What was the point of that?
Yeah.
Why are you bringing her back? Why are you so determined to set the movie right when the last movie left off? But then you're just going to waste the Jennifer character anyway.
I guess if he goes up to her and is like, I know this seems crazy. I'll explain later that her timeline thus changes because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the alternative is really kind of sad to see like they're like, we have to put Leah Thompson under. Or Elizabeth
Shue under.
And she's going to be asleep until we take her to the house for 1 second. And then she kind of disappears for the second half
and they leave her.
Yeah. They left her.
They left her in like, we don't even know if that
neighborhood
was
there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like,
Doc's like, she'll be fine.
Yeah, she'll be good. The future's okay.
Oh, I think they're just going to leave her in a pile of garbage.
Come on, listen, you can put stuff in that flux capacitor, but Al, you don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, do you?
I think they should have started the second movie. The car takes off, it flutters, comes down.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, it's not working yet. And she's like, this is too weird. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And she leaves. And then we just
someone accidentally pressed the ejector button and she's like, we'll pick her up later. She's fine.
I have a couple more nitpicks.
Yeah.
Doc lands in 2015, just leaves the key to the time machine car in the car. Doesn't bring them.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure I'm bringing the keys everywhere I go if I have the
Biff outsmarts
DeLorean time machine. Mm-hmm. Doc mentions at one point that he left Einstein in a suspended animation kennel in 2015. Just brutal dog abuse in this movie out of nowhere. What the fuck did Einstein was happy in 1985.
It's also, you guys have the budget for a hoverboard, but you can't get a dog wrangler on set to like, have Einstein be a part of things or whatever.
Isn't he just going to go back to 1985, drop off Einstein, and come back?
Yeah.
See, basically, terrible dog owner.
He could have bit Biff's ankle at some point.
Also, like one of mine was like, what happened to the Libyans from 1?
Oh yeah.
They don't. They're not involved in.
You didn't see him at the dance.
I have a really stupid, obscure one. They show the photo of Biff. He's won $1 million in the 1958 race or whatever. And there's a photo, and the almanac is out the side.
Oh my god!
Why the fuck is he bringing that to the horse race?
He's not winning any Pulitzer prizes.
Jesus. And then I just wanted more from Biff's Vegas condo as a real estate guy. It was nice, but not like
not a lot of natural light though.
Yeah, it just seemed dark. It felt a little like Venetian-y. When you get like the 1-bedroom suite at the Venetian, they upgrade you, and it's like, this is still kind of depressing.
That
should have been like a $50 million palace. Should have been amazing. I just was disappointed. It should have like the Sultan at the end of Taken in the boat, where it's just like, whoa, that's a nice boat, man. I see how that guy has money. Like, I just didn't think it got there.
The Sultan at the end of Taken.
All right, I have a couple more.
Oh, you do? Okay, let's keep going.
Well, Marty's son walks. They need him for this big heist. He's such a loser. He's stumbling over himself. Why does even Griff, as ridiculous as he is, need Marty Jr. to pull off this case?
Because they're going to use him as a fall guy, right?
Oh, they are.
I think so.
Out.
Yeah, because that's going to be like the pivotal moment
All right,
of Marty's.
That's fine. Okay, so again, we're going back and forth between Biff is a genius and he's an idiot. So I got a couple. Oh, so always these fight scenes are crazy, but the moment before he actually gets a handle on the almanac once and for all, he takes an elbow and an overhand right from Biff that Justin Gaethje would not recover from. Like just hanging out right there on the side view mirror. That's messed up. Had a couple more. Shit.
This might be the most nitpicks we've done for a
movie.
We're like over at like 25.
And we had some in the beginning of like, when would Vegas start to get suspicious of Biff?
And just in general, you're not so virtuous, Marty. Before you burn it for good,
just take a look.
Just one.
Just one.
You and Joe Willie Namath predict Super Bowl 3. Just get one from there.
I had that in unanswerable questions. Could he have just gone back into the fiery garbage and maybe look through and make sure?
Yes.
There's like 5 bets. I'm with you though. He's clearly like, let me just see what happens.
This sucks.
1991. Whoa. Sequel, prequel, prestige, TV, all black cast, or untouchable. I'm just gonna ask: Are we ready to redo this movie?
I'm kind of surprised that they've never touched it.
I think because the future and being able to go in all these different directions, and you could go back to 1985 now.
Yeah.
Or 1995, you could go into the grunge era. You go to Seattle because you have a whole new cast. What does 2055 look like? I don't know why they let this one go. Of all the things they've remade over and over again,
maybe it's
why not
like,
Back to the Future?
Maybe people would be less happy about it being like a kid goes back to like help his parents instead of stopping 9/11. You know, like
right.
So it's a non-comedy.
It's too much serious shit.
Yeah. It would just be like, go up to Barack Obama and be like, you know what? Don't make fun of Trump tonight.
Yeah, the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
Yeah.
Who is new Marty and new Doc?
Oh.
Can I hit you with something?
Yeah.
Tom Holland and Bill Hader.
Bill Hader as Doc is a slam dunk.
Tom Holland's too old to be Marty.
Tom Holland's too old.
What is he, like 26?
No, you can need somebody who's like in their
Chalamet?
No, you need somebody in high school. There's got to be a high school guy. Like
How old was Michael J. Fox in the first one?
Well, the second one is 28.
So in the first one, he's like, all right.
Yeah.
Tom Holland's
Can't
not.
be a Zac Efron type. Yeah.
I think you go new person because the franchise is a star. So you almost don't need a star as Marty.
Right.
But you need Bill Hader as Doc.
Yeah, that's a good call. Hader's a good one. I don't know how else you spin it off. If it says all black cast, I don't know if like Goldie Wilson spins off. We see his struggles against Biff Tannen in terms of legalizing gambling in the city.
It would be funny if the Debbie Downer, a journalism website era, they're remaking Back to the Future and it's like, maybe this shouldn't be a comedy. maybe we should be going back and fixing some of the problems that this country has. And it's just people getting very pious essays about why are we having fun with the Back to the Future franchise. Yeah. Is this movie better with Wayne Jenkins, Danny Trejo, Sam Jackson, J.T. Walsh, Byron Mayo, Harling Mays, Eva Laughing, Ramon Raymond, or Philip Baker Hall?
I think it's Byron Mayo. I was trying to think of a Wayne screaming about Harala Bob thing, but like it's like when Marty wakes up and sees his mom's new set. I think it's kind of like, Marty, rain. It's not incest if it happens during time travel.
Give it a whirl.
No one will know.
I just said maybe Sam Jackson plays the father with the baseball bat.
Yeah,
just
that would have been good.
That was like the perfect Sam Jackson.
He would have been
range.
Goodfellas right after that. Yeah.
Just one Oscar. Who gets it? I had the score.
Yep, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, the special effects.
So the special effects, it was nominated for best visual effects.
Special effects is I forgot that was the one. Yeah, that probably
is that different from visual effects?
It's visual effects. What they call it.
The Abyss one. I had supporting. I don't know. I had Tom Wilson for supporting actor if it was ever going to have it, but Denzel won it that year, and Danny Aiello.
Yeah, it was
lost.
89 was strong.
It was too good. Yeah,
probably unanswerable questions. No jet lag. Just zooming around by decades. Yeah, like I feel like you would be zonked out for months.
I got back from overseas like a day ago, and I'm still
and you don't even know what year it is. Yeah, I did that flight when it took like 3 weeks to come back. These guys are fine.
We flew in and out of Vegas in one day, and I don't think I'll ever recover. Last Saturday,
that's true.
Yeah, so
we covered why does Marty hate being called a chicken so much, which that literally was unanswerable. How do we handle the almanac? We covered that. I have one more, but do you have any for unanswerable?
No, like we did them as nitpicks.
I got them.
Doc Brown gay?
No, because we find out in 3 he falls in love with Claire.
Oh, yeah.
In 2, I don't know that.
For those 7 months, you were like,
1885 Doc Brown, not gay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's like, Doc, who'd you hang out with last night? Oh, I was hanging out with that high school senior again that I'm 42 years older than.
Right.
Like if my son was hanging out with Doc Brown every night, I would be suspicious within 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? Why are you with Doc Brown so much? It's like he's got Ooh La La magazine. I don't know. Like, is he grooming Marty? What's happening?
Didn't they cut a scene
I've seen too many Datelines
of one where they talk about is my father gay or something? Doesn't like.
Oh, does that come up in one?
Yeah, they cut it out. He says, no, he's like, what happens to me in the future? Well, am I gay? Do I turn gay? They cut it completely out of the movie.
I don't know.
So we'll have to see Doc's reaction.
This is a movie trope that we've seen in a few movies with the way too old to be hanging out with the high school kid character that I just, now that we've been conditioned in the last 20 years to look at that differently,
right?
I can't unsee it. It's like, Doc, no friends, no poker night with your buddies from World War II, nothing.
Right, yeah.
The Korean War, like, oh, my buddy Johnny's in town, nothing. Best double feature choice of this movie. It's got would you go 1 or 3?
I'd go 3 because it's basically one movie.
Yeah, because you kind of want to know what happens.
Yeah.
3 is a rough watch. What piece of memorabilia would you want from this movie? Would you go original hoverboard? DeLorean doesn't count. We ruled out
Practically
cars.
speaking, I'd probably go the Nike mags because you could make a tidy profit on those for the secondary market.
Over the hoverboard and over the original magazine?
Like, that's not street legal yet.
I like the jacket because it essentially ends up being a heated jacket, right? Which none of them work if you try to buy them for $300 or $40.
Right. It's the only real heated jacket.
Yeah.
So the original almanacs, they pop up on those Hollywood prop auctions, and it seems like they had a bunch of them.
Mm-hmm.
So a few of them have sold, and they all go for like 45, 50K. So there you go. You could say you got one of those. You could say that's authentic. The Coach Finstock Award, Best Life Lesson.
I gotta say, for me, after watching 2, again, the past is the past. Just leave it alone.
Just look forward.
Yeah. What are you gonna do?
Like
you know, like, what are you gonna go back to the Wild West to fix? Come on.
Right. You can't change it based on even if you know your flaws. And I guess an ancillary one is really try hard not to fuck your mother.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good secondary.
Don't look at your mother's breast for more than a split second.
And to be fair, the third one ends. The train destroys the DeLorean, and they're like, you know what? Like, I'm not like let's just like let fate kind of decide itself.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe could have done that after 2.
Yeah.
They should have had previews for 4 after 3, but fake ones. That would have been great.
This one in 3 feels like there's a version of it that could have been one movie.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Also, Doc, you'll probably be dead by the time Marty's kids are grown up. Maybe don't go into the
Don't
future
sweat it.
to try to fix them.
Again, creepy Doc.
I've never cared about my friends' kids that much ever. Like Harrison's got his big game tonight. I care about that. I wouldn't go into the future to help you. Like I wouldn't use my future card.
Oh, okay. Because I have a lot of money on that game.
It's not in the almanac.
Craig, what do you got?
Did you say who won?
Oh, who
Michael
won the
J.
movie?
Fox.
Michael J. Fox. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a winner.
Unless you want to go Doc. Creepy Doc who has
Or
no friends
Zemeckis.
his own age.
Zemeckis for doing Who Framed Roger. Like,
Oh, you know what? It's Zemeckis.
Roger Rabbit.
Because Zemeckis
2 and
is
3.
using all the
And he's got all the tricks.
He becomes like the coolest guy from Roger Rabbit. And yeah, it's Zemeckis. You're right.
I think my hot take is that Doc is the only good actor in this movie.
Well, he's the
Wow.
movie is
That was a hot
Wow.
take.
the movie is
That came in.
oriented to Doc. Like it's like Doc's craziness is the
Yeah.
the only
He
thing that
can't
explains
lose.
this movie.
Yeah. I just think Doc carries this film. He puts it right on his back. This movie, I liked the movie. It was really fun. I had seen Back to the Future 1 many times. I'd never seen this one. I think I liked being back in that world more than I liked the movie, like the story itself. It almost felt like a sitcom where it's like, this movie has no new characters. It has no new villain. It's like a sequel with no new characters, no new villain.
Yeah.
You're back on the same set. And also like, it feels like a set. You know that town square is like a lot at Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
And it's like, you feel like you're about to walk past like Central Perk. It feels so much like a Hollywood lot that it's kind of like refreshing and comforting, like a sitcom. So I did like just kind of hanging out.
Yeah.
But maybe I've just been like jaded by the multiverse. I was like, this is a little confusing. I don't exactly know what's going on here. I had to think like a little bit too much about this, and maybe I've just been multiverse.
You
building.
have to watch one. This is bothering me so much.
He's seen one.
Oh, you
Yes,
did see one.
He's
Oh,
seen
you
Yeah,
one.
did
I
see
think one's
Okay.
great. One is trackable. This one, I was like, they got a little too cute with it, and I get you had to go forward and mix it up a little bit, but I don't know, maybe I just got triggered by multiverse.
Right.
I think the acting point's the right point. Because I don't think Leah
That he's the
Thompson's
best.
great in
Yeah.
this. We barely get the dad.
Michael J.
Biff's all
Fox
over
spends
the
most of
place.
the movie being like, "What are you telling me, Doc?"
Yeah, Michael J. Fox is not as good as he was in the first movie.
Yeah.
He's just not. He's great in the first movie. He's amazing.
Yeah.
I think those are all good points, Craig.
People don't overact anymore.
What do you mean?
I just, every movie from like the 90s and 80s, there's always like 3 characters in the movie going insane.
Yeah,
like
it's true.
really
Yeah.
pushing it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, you rarely get an actor doing the Linda Partridge. It's like, where do you get that?
That's a good point.
I miss it. What would you do with the almanac?
What do you mean? I would absolutely steal a couple games. And
You'd use it for fantasy just to like win your leagues.
yeah, definitely. That'd
Yeah.
be, I mean, like the
Yeah, we
round
didn't even
10
talk about the
sleepers.
fantasy elements
Oh,
of the
right.
almanac.
Yeah.
We would be the
Be able to
greatest
look at the
pod of all
receiving
time.
yards.
Like our sleepers episode would,
Yeah,
would
you're
take
just like,
over the
I don't know. I
world.
just have a feeling about this guy coming out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
Devon
like-
A-Chain on the Dolphins.
I know
Just
he's going to sound
something
weird,
about
but take Pakua. Yeah.
No,
Brock Purdy. I like that guy.
no, you would do the Kurt Warner would be the
Yeah,
best
Kurt
one, right?
Warner. Yeah.
Oh,
This
that's
guy
a good
like
one.
on the Rams. I
Right,
like
right,
what I'm
right.
reading.
Yeah.
This backup QB.
Yeah.
If Trent Green ever goes down,
There's this 8-year-old Joey Chestnut. They call him Joey. He might be Joe by the time. No, he'll still be Joey. Yeah.
he's gonna win a lot of hot dog
great,
contests.
great eater.
All right, this podcast was produced by Craig Horlbeck. Don't forget to go to youtube.com/@RingerMovies to watch this and all the clips we have. Sal, this was
Sal.
super
It was
fun.
a lot of fun. Thank you for
It's
having
a
me.
great job by you,
Great
Sal.
job by you guys.